Do your kids hate worksheets and flashcards? Mine do too. And so I've come up with lots of creative ways to make doing worksheets and practicing flashcards more fun. And so in this video, I want to share 5 of my favorite ways to make worksheets and flashcards more fun for your kids. Please hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel so that you get notified whenever a new video is released. So one of my favorite ways to make worksheets or flashcards more fun is to have a scavenger hunt. And so what I'll do is I'll take the worksheet and get out a pair of scissors and actually cut the worksheet up into sections so that each question or each activity is on a separate little piece of paper. And then I'll hide the pieces of paper somewhere around the living room or around the house. And then during the scavenger hunt, my son's job is to find each of the pieces of paper and bring them to me. And as he does, he needs to solve the problem. This is a really great way to get kids excited about solving the worksheet problems and to just kind of break it up a little bit more, especially for a really active child. You can also get a little bit more creative and turn it into a scavenger hunt by writing clues on the back of each piece of paper. So the first piece of paper would have a problem from the worksheet, and then when your child flipped it over on the back, there would be a clue for where to find the next piece of paper. That takes a little bit more setup, but it adds a whole nother level of fun to the activity. The second thing that you can try is creating a set of task cards for your child. So task cards are sort of like flashcards, except for each card has an activity for your child to complete. And you might do the same thing with a set of task cards. You might hide the task cards around the house or in your child's room. And then again, as your child finds the cards, they need to bring the card to you and complete the activity on the card. A third fun game to play with worksheets or flashcards is a race. And the way that you set this up is you're going to stack all of the worksheet problems or all of the flashcards at one end of a large hallway or a big room. And you can leave them in a pile on the floor, or sometimes we like to put a chair from our dining room table there with the stack of flashcards on it. And then you're going to sit at the other end of the hallway or the opposite side of the room. And so then your child's job is going to be to run down to the stack of flashcards, grab a flashcard, just one, and then run back to you and tell you what the flashcard says, or the answer to the math problem, or the answer to the worksheet question. And then once they've successfully completed that problem, then they'll hand you the flashcard or worksheet question and run back to the other side of the room and pick up one more. This is another really great activity for kids that are kinesthetic learners or kids that just have a lot of energy, because it allows them to incorporate the running as a part of their learning and their practice. This is also a great activity if you're stuck inside for a long period of time due to weather. Where we live, it's very cold and snowy, and so we do this activity quite often in the winter when we're stuck inside because it's too cold to go out. Another activity that my kids really love is the Lifesize game board. And this is a variation where instead of hiding the flashcards or worksheet questions, we actually tape them to the floor in the layout of a game board. So we're going to create a path using the flashcards that are taped to the floor. And then the way that this game works is that my child will roll the dice or flip a coin or somehow figure out how many squares they're going to move forward. And then they will move forward that number of squares and then solve the problem on the space where they land. Again, this is a great one because it gives kids the opportunity to get up and get moving. The challenge with this one is figuring out how many squares to have your child move in a way that is able to keep them on their square. Because if they roll the dice and then have to chase the dice across the room, sometimes they forget where they came from, and that can make the game a little bit tricky. But this game is a lot of fun, and it can also be really fun for siblings to play together if they're reviewing the same material, or maybe you might tape 2 sets of flashcards together and have each child do the one that is appropriate for them when they land on that space. And then the final activity that we really like is the rolled up socks toss. And the way this one works is that you're going to put a few different baskets down at the end of your room, and then you're going to get a whole bunch of socks and roll up each sock individually into a ball. And then your child is going to use the socks to play basketball and get the socks into the basket. And there are several different variations of this game that you can use to make it a really fun learning game for your child. One that you could do is if your flashcards or worksheet problems all have common answers, like for example, maybe you're learning addition facts and all of the answers are going to equal 2, 3, or 4, you could put those numbers on the baskets and have your child actually answer the problem by throwing the sock into the correct basket. The other thing that you can do is actually cut out the worksheet problems onto little sheets of paper, have your child answer the problem, and then when they're done, they get to wad up the piece of paper and throw it in the basket. That is a really good one too. You might give different point levels for the baskets, and each time your child answers a flashcard correctly, they get to throw a sock into one of the baskets and see how many points they can score. There are lots of different variations of this game that you can use to adapt it to whatever your child is learning. But all of these games are a really great way to take a boring thing like flashcards or worksheets and make them more fun for your child. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. And please share in the comments, what is your favorite way to make worksheets and flashcards more fun for your child?